Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookham here, and today I thought I would give my perspective on the recent events with the LiverKing. Several people asked me this question, which prompted me to do this video, as I have the unique perspective of having actually chatted with Brian Johnson, aka the LiverKing, since about 3 to 4 years ago. I'm pretty sure a lot of people didn't know that. And I wanted to start with some emails, just sharing some of these emails that I have that when I was chatting to Brian, to show you the kind of man that he used to be, at least the way he was back then, in comparison to the kind of person he is now. And back in 2019, I contacted Ancestral Supplements as I was talking a lot about Vince Gironda, his master series, his training methods, his diet, etc. And I was learning all about the subject of pre-bolics, basically how to tune your body to become more anabolic, right? And in one of the diets from Vince had you taken beef orchic tissue, which is basically just dried up testicles or desiccated beef testicles. And after looking online on Amazon, I found that Ancestral Supplements was actually one of the only companies that offered desiccated beef testicles, so I contacted them. To my surprise, Brian Johnson, the CEO of Ancestral Supplements, replied to me directly, as you can see in these emails, and for a while we were chatting and talking about Vince Gironda. We shared a lot of these ideas, carnivore diets, etc. And it was just, for me, really good to find someone in this day and age was a like-minded individual that shared similar visions to my own. And that's why I had for a while become a fan and supported Ancestral Supplements and affiliated with them, and I became an affiliate of Ancestral Supplements and promoted their products on my channel. At the time, Brian didn't look like he used steroids like the way he looks now, and I mean, he looked like a lifter, right? But in a kind of a bear mode, then very, very, very different to the way he looks now. This shredded, jacked beast, and I hate to say, with this giant GH gut. It's just completely different. He also wasn't as aggressive, as masculine, if you want to call it, in your face as he is now. Now, I want to scroll down to the end of this email because back then, when I was a fan of Brian Johnson, the man, who in my opinion was quite a wholesome individual, and now he's become the LiverKing character, right? And I think it's interesting to see that at the bottom of this particular email, and even throughout the email, we read nothing about the 9 ancestral tenets back then, right? We're talking 2018, 2019. Instead, Brian's original message and mission was very simple. He believed that we should all be eating organs, or at least supplementing with desiccated organs, including liver and bone marrow, as well as having plenty of sunshine, eating fermented vegetables like kimchi, etc., for vitamin K, and also supplementing with magnesium. That was it. Really simple, right? 5 simple things to follow. And I respected this from Brian, this message from Brian, because it was very, very simple. It was his original creed. It was not tarnished, not fantastic and blown up and outlandish like it is now. And it was not political either. And I'm going to get to that later. I happen to think, in my own opinion, that there is a political element to his own message now. Back then there was no sunning your balls or anything ridiculous like that. It was just a wholesome, simple message that was simple to apply in anybody's life and accessible, really accessible to most people, and didn't require a massive change in your life, right? They were the simpler days of Brian Johnson. And yeah, I guess having this unique experience with Brian Johnson, the LiverKing, before he was the LiverKing, I thought I would share this on social media. I was a fan. I'll admit it, I was a fan of Brian Johnson. But I can't say I'm a fan of the LiverKing now. And I think that he must have had like some illusions of grandeur on the way or something, or just got greedy, and because the LiverKing, is just this kind of an arrogant transition into this, I hate to say it, money hungry person that he became. Long before the LiverKing was famous, Brian only made supplements on demand. Understand that. And that's, for me, when I see what's going on now, it's just a completely different person. I remember when I was ordering certain supplements from them, it was all on demand. You had to wait. And that was basically kind of like a family company, really trustworthy. You could chat with them and all that, you know. It was just so different. Yeah, and everything was on demand, and his most popular supplements would sell out fast. I remember being on the waiting list for some of his products, but I can't imagine that the LiverKing would ever allow his shelves to be empty now, really. You know, the way he's going. This guy only wants, as he puts it, more, you know, more. And that's kind of what he's become, right? And I hope that you can understand what I'm really trying to say here. Basically, his treatment of people before and with people was very personalized. And he would actually communicate with clients, but not anymore. The last time I tried to communicate with Brian, for example, and this was about a year or two ago, I was told that he did not answer emails anymore and that he had a whole team that was doing that for him. He was too busy. And, you know, I thought that was a little bit unusual and even rude because, you know, we had been already emailing back and forth since mid to late 2019. And yeah, again, the Brian Johnson that I knew before was a wholesome individual, and it's not the same person now. And I remember when I even wrote him, they were telling me, the team was telling me, he's not calling himself Brian Johnson anymore. He refers himself now as the LiverKing. So he doesn't even use his real name. That was just wild, you know, kind of like a third person looking at myself. It's kind of outside of myself. Bizarre, you know. And in my opinion, you know, the ancestral tenets now. Let's look at the 9 ancestral tenets. You know, I think that he uses these personally to shroud his steroid usage. At least that was his plan, I believe, back then. Which, in all honesty, is an insult to true primals, which are out there, you know, so to speak, and also the natural community. I mean, you know, it was very obvious when you saw his massive GH gut. I didn't say anything, but come on, anybody that saw those pictures, you had to question it, right? You're never going to really see a true tribal person look as massive and as shredded as he is at the moment with a GH gut like that. No way. And at the end of the day, you know, that's what the LiverKing really is, right? He is just a marketing ploy. He's developed himself into this character for you to go to buy his supplements. And, you know, and on whatever other companies he does. And his company, Ancestral Supplements, was never and would never get, it was never as big as it is now and would have never gotten as big as it is now had he not transitioned into the LiverKing. And when, you know, I start reflecting on these 9 ancestral tenets, as good as some of these messages are, because they are good messages, most of them, I can't help to think that, you know, these were basically part of his marketing ploy. And as I said, sure that they've got merit, but the way they were also presented were almost political in my view, at least. I believe that the way he delivered the message was in a way that it would synchronize with people's anger and desperation, because there's a lot of that in these last few years since the pandemic and all of that, you know. And, you know, people are angry, they're desperate, they're depressed, they're angry about the vaccines, the wars, the environment, being disconnected with family, the earth, with God. They're poor, they don't have the basic needs that they used to have, etc. And there's all these problems going on around in the world, and I think that for many people, hearing the LiverKing was refreshing. Here is a man, you know, that was all about going, say, you know, hell with the man, I'm doing it all my way, back, you know, caveman style. And yeah, it was refreshing and offered people this kind of an avenue in a way out of all these problems, you know. It was kind of an answer to their call, right? And yeah, I think he used these deep feelings, these deep instinctual primal feelings that people were having, this, you know, to connect with people. He did it marvelously. And by presenting himself the way he did, people were fooled, you know. I mean, I was fooled. I'll admit to it. I was fooled as well for a while, but, you know, after a little while, I'm like, there's something wrong here. And, you know, a big round of applause to Derek for having done that marvelous job the research and all of that. Wonderful. I mean, that video he came out, I think, is his best video ever, bar none, and changed the game, because that kind of sets the standards now, in my opinion, for all other fake natties out there. You know, you're going to get caught, and this is great. This is a great part of social media, that, you know, a lot of this stuff can't be held quiet forever, you know, and people are out there that will find out what you're really like, you know. And I think, you know, again, fantastic work to Derek and to his mate who did this wonderful work. Really, really good stuff. It really puts also a warning out there for people. Don't be a liar. Be honest, because nowadays with social media, it's very easy to get caught, you know. Be honest, and you'll be rewarded, is what I say. So yeah, I mean, going back now, I just wanted to acknowledge Derek there. Yeah, people were fooled, you know, and the way I put it is that Brian Johnson presented, you know, this is the way I really summarize it. He presented this kind of a carnivore, macho, opposite version of, you know, of the extreme, I guess, opposite, which is an extreme leftist, feminist, vegan. You know, these are complete polar characters, you know, and he did wonderfully well with that character. Just an absolute polar of that, you know. To end this video, I want to address his recent apologies, which I know everybody's saying are cringeworthy, and they are. They don't sound honest, you know. He's kind of just, to me, he seems to be using this whole negative publicity, which is always going to be publicity, to just keep going, you know. I just want to say that if the LiverKing, Brian, if you're really sorry, which I doubt you are, and you actually believe in your 9 ancestral tenets, then you should get off the drugs, eat your carnivore organ-rich diet, and train hard and live like a true primal, you know, like true primal life, and just present a physique that is truly primal and that belongs to Brian Johnson, not the synthetically enhanced version of the LiverKing. You know, go back to being just yourself, Brian Johnson, the way you used to be. You know, just be that wholesome person that I knew and that other people knew. You know, you were much more respected back then, I'll tell you that much. But to be honest, you know, as I said, I doubt he will, because he would have to accept and be willing to give up, as I said, this synthetic enhanced muscle that is so precious to him and to his company, and it will most definitely shrink. He will shrink into a smaller human form, and I say human on purpose because it is, you know, it's superhuman what he is now, because he's obviously taking those ridiculous amounts of steroids. But he will if he reduces or removes all these drugs off his routine and basically just goes back to being natural, he will shrink to a smaller human form, and you know, that would offer way less marketing power, little to no marketing power actually. I mean, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And his marketing campaign, which is based on steroids and lies, worked marvelously for him, you know. I would doubt that having a tribal or even a bear mode look, which I believe is more tribal than what he's doing now, is more honest. It's as honest as realistic as it is for naturals. It would not have the marketing power of the shredded LiverKing, right? So why would he go back to it? That's why I said, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I doubt he'll go back. He's saying that he will, you know, in the recent apologies. I mean, that apology in itself means nothing unless he actually does something about it. He says he's going to go natty. I doubt it. But in all honesty, he wanted the fame and the money, and it doesn't seem that he really cared about which way he obtained it. It's a shame, because it tarnishes the side of the lifting community that is trying to spread the word on living a strong and natural life with longevity in mind and staying natural for the rest of your life. You know, that's really being tribal, you know, that's really being primal, tribal, or anything you want to call it, right? Excuse me for saying tribal. His word is primal. So that's what really being primal is all about, right? going back to the way your ancestors lived. And again, looking at all these different tribes around the world that actually still live that way, which there are populations that do, they look nothing. They look absolutely nothing like the LiverKing. And yeah, anyway, that's all I've got to say about that. For those that wanted my opinion, I've given it, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, my opinion on the LiverKing. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Golden Era bodybuilding booklets are available at www.goldenerabookworm.com, including Steve Reeves, Reg Park, Vince Gironda, Larry Scott, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mike Mensa, Danny Padilla, and much more. Online training is now available, including my new program, Novice to Classic, a program geared towards beginners and novices looking at developing a classic physique, as well as Classic Cut, geared at those who wish to lose weight and gain muscle fast. Details available at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Ironman Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. As a natural bodybuilder, it is imperative to know your own testosterone levels, as they are a reflection of the anabolic environment created by your diet and training. I would highly recommend using the male hormone test kit from Let's Get Checked, and make sure you use my code GOLDEN30 for a 30% discount. Again, the advantage of checking yourself regularly is that you will know how well your body is anabolically primed to put on the much desired muscle you are working for. Get your gym wear and Golden Era apparel at the new Golden Era Tees shop, featuring designs from the Silver Era and Golden Era legends, available as tanks, shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies in all sizes and colors. To support your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/store/Golden Era Bookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again at teespring.com/store/Golden Era Bookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the Golden Era of bodybuilding. If you're a fan of old school bodybuilding, then make sure to check out Sups the Movie. Filmmaker Alex Ardenti explores the $40 billion sports supplement industry, delving into the origins, evolution, and current state of supplements used by millions of fitness enthusiasts worldwide, available at Amazon and Vimeo.